The old clock on the wall showed 7 in the evening. The music academy was quiet now. All the rich children had gone home in their fancy cars. The teachers had packed their bags and left. Only the cleaning staff remained in the big building. Maria pushed her cleaning cart down the long hallway. Her hands were tired. Her back was sore. She had been cleaning since early morning, but she never complained. This job put food on the table. This job paid for the small room she shared with her daughter. Her daughter was a small girl named Lily. She was only 7 years old. She had big brown eyes and long black hair that her mother tied in a simple ponytail every morning. Lily was not like the other children who came to this academy. She did not wear expensive clothes. She did not have a driver to pick her up. She did not take piano lessons that cost more money than her mother made in a whole month. But Lily loved music more than anything in the world. Every evening, Lily came to the academy after her school finished. She would sit in a corner and do her homework while her mother cleaned. She was a quiet child. She never bothered anyone. She never touched anything she was not supposed to touch. Well, almost anything. There was a small storage room at the back of the building. Nobody used it anymore. Inside that room there was an old piano. It was not a beautiful piano like the ones in the main halls. It was dusty and forgotten. Some of its keys did not work properly, but to Lily it was the most wonderful thing in the world. Every night when her mother was busy cleaning the upper floors, Lily would sneak into that storage room. She would close the door softly behind her. She would sit on the old wooden stool that wobbled a little, and then she would play. Nobody had ever taught Lily how to play the piano, but she knew how to play. She knew because of her father. Lily's father had been a piano player back in China. He was not famous. He did not play in big concert halls, but he was very, very good. He played at small restaurants and local events. People would stop eating just to listen to him play. They said his music could make you feel things you had forgotten how to feel. When Lily was born, her father made a promise. He promised to teach her everything he knew about music, and he kept that promise. Every single night, from the time Lily was a tiny baby until she was 4 years old, her father would sit with her at their old piano. He would guide her small fingers across the keys. He would hum the melodies into her ear. He would tell her stories about each piece of music. Music is a language, he would say. It does not matter where you come from. It does not matter what language you speak. When you play music, the whole world can understand you. Lily remembered every word. She remembered every lesson. She remembered the way her father's hands felt when he placed them over hers and helped her play. But then her father got sick, very sick. The doctors said there was nothing they could do. Lily was too young to understand what was happening. All she knew was that her father spent more and more time in bed. He got thinner and weaker. But even then, even when he could barely sit up, he would ask Maria to bring Lily to him, and he would hum the songs to her. He would move his fingers in the air, showing her how to play. "Remember," he whispered to her one night, "the music lives inside you now. It will never leave you, and when you play, I will always be with you." Those were some of the last words he ever said to her. After Lily's father died, everything changed. Maria could not afford to stay in China. There were too many memories, too much sadness. She took her small daughter and moved to a new country, hoping for a better life. But life was not easy. Maria did not speak the language well. She could only find jobs that paid very little. Cleaning was the best she could do. They lived in a tiny room above a laundromat. The room had one bed that they shared. It had a small table where Lily did her homework. It had a hot plate for cooking simple meals. There was no piano. There was no money for music lessons. There was barely enough money for food. But Lily never stopped practicing. At night when her mother was asleep, Lily would sit at the small table. She would close her eyes and imagine a piano in front of her. Then she would move her fingers across the wooden surface, playing songs that only she could hear. She remembered everything her father had taught her, every note, every melody, every feeling. And then she found the old piano in the storage room. The first time Lily touched those dusty keys, she felt like her father was standing right behind her. She played a simple song he had taught her. Then she played another one. Then another. The music came pouring out of her like water from a broken dam. All the sadness, all the loneliness, all the love she felt for her father, it all came out through her fingers. She did not know that someone was listening. Mr. was the janitor at the academy. He was an old man with gray hair and kind eyes. He had worked at the building for over 20 years. He had seen thousands of students come and go. He had heard hundreds of performances, some good, some not so good. But he had never heard anything like the music coming from that storage room. The first time he heard it, he thought he was imagining things. He walked toward the sound slowly, his old legs aching with each step. When he reached the storage room, he opened the door just a crack and peeked inside. And there she was, a tiny girl in a faded dress, her fingers dancing across the broken keys of a forgotten piano. She played with her eyes closed. She played like the music was breathing through her. She played like an angel. Mr. stood there for a long time listening. When Lily finally stopped and opened her eyes, she saw him and gasped. She thought she was in trouble. She thought he would tell her mother. She thought she would never be allowed to play again. But Mr. just smiled. "That was beautiful," he said softly. "Where did you learn to play like that?" Lily looked down at her hands. "My father taught me," she said, "but he is gone now." Mr. nodded slowly. He understood. He had lost people too. He knew what it felt like to hold on to something because it was the only connection left to someone you loved. From that night on, Mr. became Lily's secret friend. He would make sure no one bothered her when she practiced. He would bring her cookies from the staff room. He would sit outside the storage room and listen to her play, wiping tears from his old eyes. And he would think to himself, "This girl is special. The world needs to hear her play." One day, Mr. saw a poster on the wall. It was announcing the Academy's annual showcase. All the best students would perform in front of a large audience. There would be judges and prizes. It was a very big event. Mr. looked at the poster for a long time. Then he made a decision. He went to the office when no one was looking. He found the sign-up sheet for the showcase, and with a shaking hand, he wrote a name at the very bottom of the list. Lily. He did not tell Lily what he had done. He did not tell her mother. He knew they would say no. They would say she was not ready. They would say she did not belong with the rich kids and their expensive lessons. But Mr. believed in Lily. He believed the world needed to see what true talent looked like. He believed that sometimes the most beautiful flowers grow in the most unexpected places. The showcase was 1 week away, and everything was about to change. The week passed quickly. Lily had no idea what was coming. She went to school every day like normal. She did her homework every evening like normal. And every night she sneaked into the storage room to play the old piano like she always did. Mr. watched her from a distance. He wanted to tell her about the showcase. He wanted to prepare her, but something stopped him every time. He was afraid she would refuse. He was afraid she would be too scared. So he kept his secret and hoped for the best. The day of the showcase arrived on a cold Saturday evening. The Academy was decorated with flowers and golden ribbons. Fancy cars pulled up to the entrance one after another. Men in expensive suits and women in beautiful dresses walked through the big front doors. Children in their finest clothes held their parents' hands tightly. This was the biggest event of the year. Everyone who was anyone in the music world was there. The judges were famous musicians. The audience was filled with wealthy families. The students who would perform had been practicing for months. They had private teachers who cost a fortune. They had parents who pushed them to be perfect. Maria arrived at the Academy through the back door like she always did. She was there to work, not to watch. She tied her cleaning apron around her waist and started pushing her cart toward the hallway. Lily walked beside her, carrying her school bag. You can do your homework in the break room tonight, Maria told her daughter. There are too many important people here. I do not want you to get in the way. Lily nodded. She was used to staying invisible. She was used to being careful. Rich people did not like to see cleaning ladies and their children. It made them uncomfortable. But as they walked past the main auditorium, something strange happened. A woman in a fancy dress came rushing toward them. She was holding a piece of paper and looking very stressed. "Excuse me," the woman said to Maria, "are you Mrs.?" Maria looked confused. "Yes, but—" "And is this Lily?" The woman looked at the small girl. Lily's heart started beating very fast. How did this woman know her name? Was she in trouble? Had someone found out about the storage room? "There must be some mistake," Maria said quickly. "We are just the cleaning staff. My daughter is not a student here." The woman looked at her paper again. "But her name is on the list. She is supposed to perform tonight. She is number 15 on the program." Maria's face went pale. "What? No, that is not possible. Lily cannot." "Mama," Lily tugged on her mother's apron. She did not understand what was happening. At that moment, Mr. appeared. He looked nervous but determined. He walked up to Maria and spoke softly. "I signed her up," he admitted. "I am sorry I did not tell you, but I have heard your daughter play. She is amazing. The world needs to hear her." Maria stared at him, her eyes filled with tears, but they were not happy tears, they were tears of fear. "Mister, you do not understand," she said. "These people, they are not like us. They will laugh at her, they will make fun of her. I cannot let my daughter be hurt like that." Mr. took Maria's hands in his. "I have worked here for 20 years, he said. "I have heard every student who ever played on that stage, and I am telling you none of them plays like Lily. Not one. She has something special, something that cannot be taught. Please, give her this chance." Maria did not know what to say. She looked at her daughter. Lily's big brown eyes were full of questions. "Lily," Maria said gently, "do you want to play tonight? You do not have to. We can go home right now if you want." Lily thought about it. She thought about her father. She thought about all those nights he spent teaching her. She thought about the promise she made at his grave, that she would never stop playing. "I want to play, Mama," she said quietly, "for Papa." Maria closed her eyes. A single tear rolled down her cheek. Then she nodded. "Okay," she whispered, "okay." The woman with the fancy dress led them toward the backstage area. But as they walked through the hallways, people started to notice them. They noticed Maria's cleaning apron. They noticed Lily's faded yellow dress. They noticed that these two did not belong. Whispers started to spread. "Who is that? Is that the cleaning lady? Why is her daughter going backstage? She is not really going to perform, is she?" Lily heard the whispers. She felt the stares. Her face turned red. She wanted to run away and hide, but she held her mother's hand tightly and kept walking. When they reached the backstage area, things got worse. The other young performers were there, waiting for their turn. They were dressed in beautiful clothes, silk dresses and velvet suits. Their hair was perfectly styled. Their shoes were shiny and new. They all turned to look at Lily. One girl about 10 years old walked up to her. She had curls and a pink dress covered in sparkles. Her name was Victoria, and her father was one of the richest men in the city. She had been taking piano lessons since she was 3. She had won many competitions. She was the favorite to win tonight. "Are you lost?" Victoria asked, looking at Lily's dress with disgust. "The cleaning closet is down the hall." Some of the other children laughed. Lily said nothing. She just looked at the ground. "Leave her alone," Mr. said firmly. "She is a performer tonight just like you." Victoria's eyes went wide. "Her perform?" She laughed loudly. "With what? A mop and a bucket." More laughter, more cruel words. Lily felt like she was going to cry, but she remembered what her father always said. "When people are mean to you, do not let them see your tears. Let them see your music instead." So Lily blinked back her tears and stood up straight. Maria wanted to take her daughter and leave. This was exactly what she had feared. These rich people would never accept them. They would never see past their old clothes and their poor background. But before she could say anything, a voice called out from the stage. "Number 15, Lily, you are next." Everything seemed to freeze. Victoria smirked. The other children whispered and pointed. Maria grabbed Lily's shoulders. "You do not have to do this," she said desperately. "We can leave right now. Nobody will blame you." But Lily shook her head. She looked up at her mother with those big brown eyes. "Papa is watching, Mama," she said. "I can feel him. I have to play." Maria could not argue with that. She hugged her daughter tightly, breathing in the smell of her hair. Then she let go. "I will be in the back," she said. "I will be watching, and I am so proud of you." Lily smiled. It was a small smile, but it was real. Then she turned and walked toward the stage. The auditorium was huge. There were hundreds of people sitting in red velvet chairs. Crystal chandeliers hung from the ceiling. The stage was lit with bright lights, and in the center of that stage sat a beautiful grand piano, black and shiny, the most expensive instrument Lily had ever seen. As she walked out, the audience fell silent. Then the whispers began. "Who is that? Look at her dress. Is she in the right place? This must be some kind of mistake." Lily heard them all, but she kept walking, one step at a time. Her eyes were fixed on the piano. Her father's voice was in her head. "Just breathe, just play. I am right here with you." She reached the piano bench. It was too high for her. She tried to climb up, but her feet dangled far above the pedals. The stage manager rushed over. "We need to adjust the bench," he said impatiently. But there was no time. The schedule was tight. The judges were waiting. So Lily did something that shocked everyone. She decided to stand. She moved the bench aside. She positioned herself in front of the keys. She was so small that she had to reach up to play. It looked impossible. It looked ridiculous. In the audience, people started to laugh. But Lily did not hear them anymore. She closed her eyes. She took a deep breath, and she began to play. The first note rang out through the auditorium. It was clear and pure, like a bell in the morning air. The laughter stopped immediately. The whispers died down. Every single person in that room turned their full attention to the tiny girl standing at the grand piano. Lily did not see them. Her eyes were closed. In her mind, she was not on a big stage in front of hundreds of strangers. She was back in her tiny apartment in China, sitting next to her father. She could smell the green tea he always drank. She could feel his warm hand on her shoulder. She could hear his gentle voice guiding her through the music. "Feel the song," he used to say. "Do not just play the notes. Feel what the composer felt when he wrote them. Tell his story with your fingers." The piece Lily had chosen was Chopin's Ballade No. 1. It was one of the most difficult pieces ever written for piano. Professional musicians spent years trying to master it. Grown adults with decades of training often made mistakes when they played it. And here was a 7-year-old girl, standing on her tiptoes, playing it like she had been born to play it. In the front row, the judges sat with their clipboards and their serious faces. They had seen many talented children over the years. They had heard many impressive performances, but this was different. This was something none of them had ever experienced before. The head judge was a famous pianist named Dr. Robert Collins. He had won international competitions. He had played at the most prestigious concert halls in the world. He had taught at the best music schools. And right now, his mouth was hanging open. "How is this possible?" he whispered to the judge next to him. "She cannot be more than 7 or 8 years old." The other judge, a woman named Professor Anna, shook her head in disbelief. "I have never seen anything like this. Her technique is flawless. Her emotion is genuine. This child is a genius." In the back of the auditorium, Maria stood frozen. She had not taken off her cleaning apron. She had not found a proper seat. She just stood there in the shadows, watching her daughter with tears streaming down her face. She remembered the night her husband first played this piece for her. It was before they were married, before Lily was born, back when they were young and full of dreams. He had played it at a small restaurant where he worked. Maria was just a waitress then. She had stopped in the middle of serving a customer, completely captured by the music. When the song ended, she looked at the piano player and he looked at her. That was the moment she fell in love. Now, 20 years later, she was hearing the same piece again. But this time, it was her daughter playing it. Her little girl, who had lost her father too soon, who had crossed oceans to start a new life, who had practiced on tabletops because they could not afford a piano. Maria pressed her hand against her heart. It hurt so much, but it was also the most beautiful pain she had ever felt. On the stage, Lily moved into the second section of the piece. This part was faster and more complex. Her small fingers flew across the keys like birds in flight. She hit every note perfectly. She did not hesitate. She did not pause. The music flowed out of her like a river. The audience was completely silent now. No one moved. No one coughed. No one even seemed to breathe. They were all under a spell, captured by the magic that this small girl was creating. Even Victoria, the girl in the sparkly pink dress who had made fun of Lily backstage, was staring with wide eyes. She had been playing piano for 7 years. She had the best teachers in the city. She practiced for 3 hours every single day. And she knew, without any doubt, that she could never play like this. Not now, not in 100 years. For the first time in her life, Victoria felt something she had never felt before. She felt small. Not because of her size, but because she suddenly understood that talent was not something you could buy. It was not something that came from expensive lessons or famous teachers. True talent was a gift. And this girl, this poor girl in the faded yellow dress, had more of that gift than Victoria could ever dream of having. Mr. stood by the side door, watching with pride. He had known Lily was special. He had known from the first moment he heard her playing in that dusty storage room, but even he was amazed by what he was seeing now. On the old broken piano, Lily was good. On this beautiful grand piano, she was extraordinary. "I knew it," he said softly to himself. "I knew the world needed to hear her." In the middle section of the piece, the music changed. It became slower and sadder. This was the emotional heart of the song. It was the part that separated the good players from the great ones. Anyone could hit the fast notes with enough practice, but playing the slow parts with real feeling, that required something that could not be taught. Lily played this section with her whole heart. Each note was filled with longing. Each phrase told a story of loss and love. The audience could feel it. They could feel the sadness in every key she pressed. A woman in the third row started crying quietly. She did not know why. She did not know anything about this little girl or her story, but the music touched something deep inside her. It reminded her of everyone she had ever lost. It reminded her of all the love she had ever felt. She was not the only one. Throughout the auditorium, people were wiping their eyes. Strong men who never showed emotion felt tears rolling down their cheeks. Young children sat perfectly still, feeling things they did not have words for. This was the power of true music. This was what Lily's father had tried to teach her. Music could cross all barriers. It could speak to anyone, anywhere, no matter who they were or where they came from. It was a universal language, the language of the human soul. Lily did not know the effect she was having on the audience. She was lost in her own world. In her mind, she was playing for only one person, her father. She could feel him standing beside her. She could feel his hand on her back, steady and warm. "I am proud of you," she imagined him saying, "so proud." The music built up again, moving toward the final section. This was the most technically difficult part of the piece. It required speed and precision that most children simply did not have. The notes came faster and faster, cascading like a waterfall. Lily's hands were a blur. She was sweating now. Her arms were getting tired. She had never played for this long without stopping. She had never played with this much intensity. But she did not slow down. She did not make a single mistake. She pushed through the difficulty, driven by something stronger than her small body, driven by love, by memory, by the promise she had made to her father. The final passage approached. The music reached its highest point. Lily stretched her fingers to reach the far notes. She was too small for this piano. She had to lean and twist to hit all the keys, but she did it. She hit every single one. And then finally, she played the last note. The sound hung in the air for a long moment, pure, perfect, heartbreaking. Lily opened her eyes. For a second, she did not know where she was. Then she saw the lights and the audience and the judges. She remembered she was on a stage. And she realized something was wrong. No one was moving. No one was clapping. The entire auditorium was completely silent. Lily felt her heart drop. Had she made a mistake? Had she played badly? She looked out at the sea of faces and saw tears. She saw grown men crying. She saw women pressing tissues to their eyes. She saw children staring at her like she was not real. And then slowly, one person started to clap. It was the head judge, Dr. Robert Collins. He rose from his seat, still clapping. Then the judge next to him stood up too. Then the entire panel of judges. Then the audience. One by one, row by row, people rose to their feet. The clapping grew louder and louder until it was like thunder filling the room. People were cheering now. They were shouting. Some were still crying while they clapped. It was a standing ovation. For a 7-year-old girl, for the daughter of a cleaning lady, for a small child who had never taken a single formal lesson in her life. Lily did not know what to do. She had never experienced anything like this. She looked toward the back of the auditorium, searching for her mother. And there was Maria, standing in the shadows, clapping harder than anyone else. She was sobbing so hard she could barely stand, but she was also smiling, the biggest smile Lily had ever seen. Lily smiled back. Then she did what her father had taught her. She placed one hand over her heart and she bowed. The applause continued for what felt like forever. Lily stood on the stage, not sure what to do next. Her legs were shaking. Her heart was pounding. She had never been the center of attention before. She had spent her whole life trying to be invisible, trying not to bother anyone. And now, hundreds of people were standing and clapping just for her. A staff member finally came and led her off the stage. The moment she stepped behind the curtain, Mr. was there. He knelt down and hugged her tightly. "You did it," he said, his voice breaking. "You showed them all. I am so proud of you." Lily hugged him back. "Thank you," she whispered. "Thank you for believing in me." Maria came rushing from the back of the auditorium. She pushed through the backstage door and swept her daughter into her arms. She held Lily so tight that the little girl could barely breathe. But Lily did not mind. She buried her face in her mother's shoulder and finally let herself cry. "Papa would be so happy," Lily said between sobs. "He would be so happy." Maria stroked her daughter's hair. "He is happy," she said. "He is watching right now and he is the happiest he has ever been. I know it." They stayed like that for a long time, mother and daughter, holding each other in the dim light backstage. The world outside did not exist. The rich people and the fancy clothes and the expensive pianos, none of it mattered. All that mattered was this moment, this love, this miracle that had just happened. But the world would not leave them alone for long. The backstage door opened, and a tall woman walked in. She was maybe 60 years old, with silver hair pulled back in a tight bun. She wore a dark blue dress made of silk and pearls around her neck. Her eyes were sharp but not unkind. She walked with the confidence of someone who was used to being in charge. This was Mrs. Elizabeth, the founder and owner of the Music Academy. Everyone backstage went quiet. Staff members stood up. Even the other young performers who had been chatting and laughing fell silent. Mrs. was a legend in the music world. She had trained some of the most famous pianists of the past 50 years. Her opinion could make or break a career. Mrs. walked directly toward Lily and Maria. Maria immediately felt nervous. She was still wearing her cleaning apron. Her daughter was still in her faded yellow dress. They looked completely out of place among all these wealthy people. "I am sorry," Maria started to say. "We will leave now. We did not mean to cause any trouble." But Mrs. held up her hand. "Please," she said, "do not apologize. I'm not here to send you away." She looked at Lily with an expression that Maria could not read. There was curiosity there. There was respect. And there was something else, something that looked almost like wonder. "What is your name, child?" Mrs. asked. "Lily," the girl answered softly. "Lily." "Lily," Mrs. repeated. She said it slowly, like she was tasting the word. "That was the most remarkable performance I have ever witnessed in this academy, and I have been running this school for 35 years. Maria's mouth fell open. She did not know what to say. Mrs. continued, "I watched every performer tonight. I have watched thousands of children play over the years. Some of them were good. Some of them were very good. A few of them were extraordinary." She paused and looked directly at Lily. "But none of them played like you, not one." Lily did not understand why this important lady was talking to her like this. She just looked at the ground, feeling shy. "Tell me something," Mrs. said. "How long have you been taking lessons? Who is your teacher? I must know who trained you." Maria spoke up before Lily could answer. "She has never had lessons," she said. "We cannot afford them. My husband taught her when she was very young, but he passed away 3 years ago." Mrs. eyes widened. "No formal training, none at all." Maria shook her head. "She practices on an old piano in the storage room here. That is all." "The storage room?" Mrs. looked confused. "What piano in the storage room?" Mr. stepped forward nervously. "There is an old piano that was put in storage years ago," he explained. "I let her practice on it in the evenings while her mother works. I hope I have not broken any rules." Mrs. was quiet for a moment. Then she did something that surprised everyone. She laughed. It was a warm, genuine laugh that transformed her serious face. "So you are telling me," she said, "that this child with no formal training, practicing on a forgotten piano in a dusty storage room, just outperformed every student in my entire academy." No one knew how to respond. Was she angry? Was she amused? Was she impressed? Mrs. answered the question herself. She turned to Lily and knelt down so they were at the same eye level. Her silk dress touched the dirty floor, but she did not seem to care. "Lily," she said gently, "I want to offer you a full scholarship to study at this academy. I will personally oversee your training. I will make sure you have everything you need. The best teachers, the best instruments, everything." Maria gasped, "But we could never afford." "A scholarship means free," Mrs. said. "You would not pay anything, not for lessons, not for books, not for anything." Lily looked at her mother with wide eyes. "Mama, what does she mean?" Maria was crying again. She seemed to cry a lot tonight. "She means you can learn to play piano," Maria said. "You can become what Papa always dreamed you would become." Mrs. stood up and brushed off her dress. "But that is not all," she said. "I have one more thing to say." She looked at Maria. "I understand you work here as a cleaner." Maria nodded, suddenly embarrassed again. "Well," Mrs. said, "I need someone to help coordinate our community programs. Someone who understands what it is like to struggle. Someone who knows that talent does not only exist in rich families. I would like to offer you that position. It pays 3 times what you make now, and it comes with an apartment in the building next door." Maria stared at her. She could not believe what she was hearing. "I do not understand," she said. "Why are you doing this? You do not even know us." Mrs. smiled. "I have run this academy for 35 years, she said. "I have spent my whole life surrounded by wealthy families and privileged children, and tonight, a little girl in a faded dress reminded me why I started teaching in the first place. Music is not about money. Music is not about status. Music is about the human spirit, and your daughter has more spirit than anyone I have ever met." The people around them were listening now. Some of the wealthy parents had gathered near the backstage door, curious about what was happening. They heard every word Mrs. said. "This academy is supposed to find and develop talent," Mrs. continued, raising her voice so everyone could hear. "But somewhere along the way, we forgot what that means. We started only accepting children from families who could pay. We started judging students by their clothes and their backgrounds. Tonight, we were all reminded that true talent does not care about such things." She took Lily's hand. "This child taught us all a lesson tonight, and I intend to make sure she has every opportunity to share her gift with the world." The wealthy parents were silent. Some of them looked ashamed, others looked thoughtful, a few were crying. Victoria, the girl in the pink dress, watched everything from a corner. She felt a strange mix of emotions. Part of her was jealous. Part of her was embarrassed about how she had treated Lily earlier. But a bigger part of her was in awe. She had never seen anyone play like that. She had never met anyone with that kind of gift. Slowly, Victoria walked up to Lily. The adults around them went quiet, wondering what would happen. Victoria stopped in front of the smaller girl. For a moment she said nothing. Then she spoke. "I am sorry," she said. "For what I said before, I was wrong." Lily looked at her. She remembered the cruel words. She remembered the laughter. But she also remembered what her father had taught her. "Forgive quickly," he used to say. "Life is too short to carry anger in your heart." "It is okay," Lily said quietly. "I forgive you." Victoria's eyes filled with tears. She stuck out her hand. "Can we start over? Can we be friends?" Lily looked at her mother. Maria nodded, smiling through her tears. Lily took Victoria's hand and shook it. "Okay," she said, "friends." And just like that, enemies became friends. All because of music. All because of forgiveness. All because of a small girl with a big heart. The next few weeks changed everything for Lily and her mother. They moved out of their tiny room above the laundromat and into a beautiful apartment near the academy. It had 2 bedrooms, a real kitchen, and big windows that let in lots of sunlight. For the first time in 3 years, Maria and Lily did not have to share a bed. For the first time, they had a home that felt like a home. But the biggest change was in the living room. There in the corner by the window sat a brand new piano. Mrs. had sent it as a gift on their first day in the new apartment. It was not a grand piano like the one in the academy, but it was beautiful. It was black and shiny and perfectly tuned. When Lily first saw it, she ran over and hugged it like it was a person. "Thank you, thank you, thank you," she kept saying, even though Mrs. was not there to hear. Maria stood in the doorway watching her daughter. She could not stop smiling. After all they had been through, the loss, the poverty, the struggle, things were finally getting better. It felt almost too good to be true. Lily started her lessons at the academy the very next week. She was nervous at first. She had never been in a classroom before. She had never had a real teacher. What if she was not as good as everyone thought? What if she disappointed Mrs.? But her worries disappeared the moment she sat down at the piano. Her teacher was a kind old man named Professor Williams. He had taught piano for 40 years. He had seen many talented students come through his classroom, but even he was amazed by Lily. "Most children your age are just learning the basics," he told her after the first lesson. "But you already play at an advanced level. Where did you learn all this?" Lily told him about her father. She told him about the lessons in their small apartment in China. She told him about practicing on tabletops and on the old piano in the storage room. Professor Williams listened to every word. "Your father must have been a very special man," he said. Lily nodded. "He was the best." The lessons were hard work, but Lily loved every minute of them. Professor Williams taught her things she had never learned from her father. He taught her proper technique for her hands and fingers. He taught her how to read music, which she had never learned before. He taught her the history of the composers, who they were, what their lives were like, and why they wrote the music they did. Lily absorbed everything like a sponge. She practiced for hours every day on her new piano at home. She came to the academy early and stayed late. She watched videos of famous pianists and tried to learn from them. She read books about music theory that were meant for people twice her age. But it was not all easy. Some of the other students at the academy were not happy about Lily's arrival. They had heard about the scholarship. They had heard about the special attention from Mrs. Some of them were jealous. There was a boy named who was especially cruel. He was 12 years old, from a wealthy family, and he had been the best pianist at the academy before Lily came along. He did not like being second best. "She does not belong here," said loudly one day in the hallway, making sure Lily could hear. "She is just a charity case. Mrs. probably feels sorry for her." The word stung. Lily pretended not to hear, but her eyes filled with tears. She rushed to the bathroom and cried quietly in a stall. Victoria found her there a few minutes later. They had become good friends since the night of the showcase. Victoria was nothing like she had seemed at first. Once her jealousy faded, she turned out to be kind and funny and loyal. "Do not listen to him," Victoria said, sitting down next to Lily on the cold bathroom floor. "Is just scared. He knows you are better than him and he cannot handle it." Lily wiped her eyes. "But what if he is right? What if I do not belong here?" Victoria took her hand. "Lily, I was at the showcase that night. I saw what you can do. Everyone in that room saw it. You have something special, something that cannot be bought or taught. You belong here more than any of us." Those words helped, but the bullying did not stop, and his friends continued to make mean comments. They would knock her books out of her hands. They would hide her sheet music. They would laugh when she walked by. Lily did not tell her mother about it. She did not want Maria to worry. Maria was so happy with her new job, and she was finally starting to relax. She was finally starting to heal from all the years of struggle. Lily did not want to ruin that. Instead, she poured all her feelings into her music. When she was sad, she played sad songs. When she was angry, she played powerful, crashing pieces that shook the walls. When she missed her father, she played the lullabies he used to sing to her when she was a baby. One day, Mrs. came to watch one of Lily's practice sessions. She sat quietly in the corner of the room, listening. Lily was playing a piece by a complicated sonata that was usually played by adult professionals. When Lily finished, Mrs. walked over to her. "That was beautiful," she said. "But there was something else in there too. I could hear pain. I could hear struggle. Is everything all right?" Lily hesitated. She did not want to complain, but Mrs. had been so kind to her. She deserved the truth. "Some of the other students are not very nice to me," Lily admitted quietly. "They say I do not belong here." Mrs.'s face changed. Her eyes became serious and hard. "Who is saying this?" "It does not matter," Lily said quickly. "I do not want to get anyone in trouble." But Mrs. shook her head. "It matters very much. This academy is supposed to be a safe place for all students. I will not allow bullying of any kind." That afternoon, Mrs. called a special assembly. All the students and teachers gathered in the main hall. Nobody knew what it was about. Mrs. stood at the front of the room, her back straight and her face stern. "I have heard that some students at this academy have been treating others poorly," she said. Her voice was calm but carried a sharp edge. "They have been bullying their classmates because of where they come from or how much money their families have." The room was very quiet. Some students looked at the ground. Others looked nervously at each other. "Let me make something perfectly clear," Mrs. continued. "Talent does not care about your bank account. Genius does not look at your address. The greatest musicians in history often came from nothing. They did not have wealthy parents or expensive lessons. They had passion. They had dedication. They had the fire of music in their souls." She paused and looked around the room. Her eyes seemed to land on for a moment. From this day forward, any student caught bullying another student will be immediately expelled from this academy. No warnings. No second chances. I do not care how much your parents pay. I do not care how talented you are. If you cannot treat your fellow musicians with respect, you do not deserve to be here." Nobody said a word. The message was clear. After the assembly walked past Lily in the hallway, she braced herself for another mean comment, but instead he just looked at her with an expression she did not recognize. Was it shame? Was it respect? She could not tell. He walked away without saying anything. The bullying stopped after that day. The other students were not exactly friendly, but they left Lily alone. And over time, as they watched her practice and perform, something changed. They began to see what everyone else had seen that night at the showcase. They began to see the magic. 6 months passed. Lily grew taller, though she was still small for her age. Her hair got longer. Her English got better. She made new friends and learned new songs. But the most important thing that changed was her confidence. She no longer felt like she did not belong. She no longer looked at the ground when rich people walked by. She walked through the academy with her head held high, knowing that she had earned her place there. Professor Williams was amazed by her progress. In just 6 months, Lily had learned things that took most students years to master. She could now read sheet music fluently. She understood music theory better than students twice her age, and her playing had gone from extraordinary to something that had no word to describe it. "You are ready," Professor Williams told her one day after practice. Lily looked at him confused. Ready for what? Professor Williams smiled. "There is a national competition next month. It is the biggest youth piano competition in the country. Students from all over the world will be there. I want you to enter." Lily felt her heart start to race. A national competition, with students from around the world. The thought was both exciting and terrifying. "But I have only been taking lessons for 6 months," she said. "Is that enough?" Professor Williams laughed. "Lily, you have been taking lessons your whole life. Your father was your first teacher. Every song you played on that old storage room piano was a lesson. Every time you practiced on a tabletop was a lesson. 6 months is just how long you have been with me, but music has been teaching you since the day you were born." That night, Lily told her mother about the competition. Maria's eyes went wide. "A national competition? Lily, that is wonderful," she hugged her daughter tightly. "Your father would be so proud." But there was also worry in Maria's eyes. Lily could see it. "What is wrong, Mama?" she asked. Maria hesitated. "I am just scared," she admitted. "The showcase here was one thing, but a national competition. There will be so many talented children, so much pressure. I do not want you to be hurt if things do not go well." Lily understood her mother's fear. Maria had worked so hard to protect her daughter from pain. She had sacrificed everything to give Lily a better life. The thought of Lily being disappointed or humiliated was almost too much for her to bear. But Lily also knew something her mother did not fully understand. She knew that music was not about winning or losing. It was about sharing. It was about connecting with other people. It was about honoring the gift her father had given her. "Mama," Lily said gently, "Papa used to tell me that music is not about competition. He said every time you play, you give a gift to everyone who listens. Whether they clap or not, whether you win or not, the gift is still given. I want to give that gift to as many people as I can." Maria looked at her daughter. When had she become so wise? When had she grown from a frightened little girl into this confident young musician? "Okay," Maria said, wiping her eyes. "You have my blessing. But no matter what happens at that competition, I want you to know that I am already proud of you. I could not be prouder." The next month was intense. Lily practiced harder than ever before. She woke up early and practiced before school. She came home and practiced until dinner. After dinner, she practiced more until her mother made her stop and go to bed. She worked on 3 pieces for the competition. The first was a complicated piece by that showed technical skill. The second was a beautiful melody by that showed emotion and feeling. And the third was Chopin's Ballade No. 1, the same piece she had played at the showcase. "Are you sure you want to play the Chopin again?" Professor Williams asked. "You could try something new." Lily shook her head. "That piece is special to me. It was my father's favorite. He played it for my mother when they first met. It is the song that brought them together. I want to share that with the world." Professor Williams nodded. "Then we will make sure you play it better than you have ever played it before." The weeks flew by. Before Lily knew it, the day of the competition had arrived. The competition was held in a grand concert hall in the center of the city. It was even bigger than the auditorium at the Academy. The stage was massive. The audience could seat 3,000 people. Just looking at it made Lily feel dizzy. There were over 100 young pianists competing. They came from all over, from Europe, from Asia, from South America. Some of them were as young as Lily. Others were teenagers. All of them were incredibly talented. Lily watched some of the other performers from backstage. Their playing was amazing. They hit every note perfectly. Their technique was flawless. As she watched them, she felt a familiar fear creeping back. What if I am not good enough? What if I make a mistake? What if I embarrass myself in front of all these people? She closed her eyes and tried to calm her breathing. Her hands were shaking. And then she felt something, a warm hand on her shoulder. She turned around, expecting to see her mother or Professor Williams. But no one was there. For a moment Lily was confused, but then she understood. She smiled. "Hi, Papa," she whispered. "I know you are here." The fear started to fade. In its place came a calm, steady feeling. The same feeling she always had when she played. The feeling of her father's presence. Lily was the 47th performer of the day. By the time her name was called, the audience was tired. Many of them had been sitting for hours. Some were talking quietly to each other. Others were checking their phones. Lily walked onto the stage. She was wearing a new dress that Mrs. had bought for her, a simple blue one with small white flowers. Her hair was tied back with a ribbon her mother had worn on her wedding day. The audience barely looked up as she sat down at the piano. Just another child, they thought, just another performance. But then Lily began to play. The first piece, grabbed their attention. The complicated notes flowed effortlessly from her fingers. People stopped talking and started listening. A few leaned forward in their seats. The second piece, captured their hearts. The beautiful melody filled the hall like perfume. Eyes closed, breathing slowed, the audience was under her spell. And then came the Chopin. From the very first note, something magical happened. The music seemed to take on a life of its own. It was not just sound anymore. It was feeling. It was memory. It was love and loss and hope all wrapped together. Lily played with her eyes closed, as she always did. In her mind, she was not on a stage. She was back in China, sitting next to her father. She could smell his green tea. She could feel his hand on her shoulder. She could hear his voice. "That is perfect, Lily. That is exactly right." Tears began to roll down her cheeks, but she did not stop playing. She let the tears come. She let all her emotions pour out through the music. In the audience, something incredible was happening. 3,000 people sat in complete silence. Many of them were crying. Men who had not cried in years had tears on their cheeks. Children who did not understand classical music were completely still, captured by something they could not explain. Maria sat in the front row, sobbing quietly. She held her husband's photo against her heart, the same photo she had carried across the ocean all those years ago. "She did it," Maria whispered to the picture. "Our daughter is doing it. She is sharing your gift with the world." The final notes of the Chopin echoed through the hall. When Lily lifted her hands from the keys, there was a moment of complete silence. Then the hall exploded. Everyone was on their feet. The applause was so loud it shook the walls. People were cheering, shouting, crying. It was the longest standing ovation in the history of the competition. Lily stood and bowed, just as her father had taught her. She looked up at the lights and smiled. "We did it, Papa," she whispered. "Together." The judges took a long time to make their decision. There were over 100 performers to consider. Many of them had played beautifully. The competition was very close. Lily waited backstage with her mother, Professor Williams, and Mrs., who had made the trip to watch her perform. Also waiting with them was Victoria, who had become Lily's best friend. They all sat in nervous silence, watching the clock on the wall. "Whatever happens, you were amazing," Victoria said, squeezing Lily's hand. "I have never heard anything like that in my life." Professor Williams nodded. "Victoria is right. You played better today than you have ever played. Better than I have ever heard anyone play. No matter what the judges say, you should be proud." But Lily was not thinking about the judges. She was thinking about her father. She wondered if he had been watching. She wondered if he had heard her play. She wondered if she had made him proud. Maria seemed to read her daughter's thoughts. She pulled Lily close and kissed the top of her head. "He heard every note," Maria whispered. "I know he did." An hour passed, then 2 hours. Lily tried to stay calm, but her stomach was twisted in knots. She had never wanted anything so badly in her life. Not for herself. She did not care about trophies or prizes, but for her father, for his memory, for everything he had sacrificed to teach her. Finally, a staff member came backstage. "All performers to the stage, please," he announced. "The judges are ready to announce the results." 100 young pianists walked onto the massive stage. They lined up in rows, standing shoulder to shoulder. Lily was near the front because of her last name. She could see her mother and friends in the audience, watching anxiously. The head judge walked to the microphone. He was a famous conductor named Mr., a tall man with white hair and a serious face. "Thank you all for your patience," he said. "This has been one of the most difficult competitions to judge in all my years. The level of talent we have seen today is truly extraordinary." He looked at the young pianists with something like respect. "Before I announce the winners, I want to say something to all of you. Music is not about winning or losing. Music is about expression. It is about sharing your soul with the world. Every single one of you did that today. Every single one of you is a winner in my eyes." He paused and picked up a piece of paper. "Now for the official results. In third place with a score of 93 points out of 100, from Russia." The audience clapped as a teenage boy walked forward to collect his bronze medal. He was tall and thin, with serious eyes. He shook Mr.'s hand and stepped aside. In second place with a score of 95 points, from Japan. Another round of applause as a girl about Lily's age walked forward. She had a shy smile and glasses. She accepted her silver medal and bowed deeply. Lily's heart was pounding. Second place had been announced. That meant first place was next. Had she done well enough, or had another performer been better? Mr. looked at the paper in his hand. Then he looked up at the audience. A small smile appeared on his face. "Before I announce the first place winner," he said, "I want to share something with you. In all my years as a judge, in all the competitions I have attended around the world, I have never, not once, given a perfect score. The reason is simple. Perfection does not exist in music. There is always room for improvement. There is always something that could be done better." He paused. The audience was completely silent. Today that changed. A murmur ran through the crowd. People looked at each other in confusion. What did he mean? Mr. continued. "Today I witnessed something I never thought I would see. A performance so pure, so powerful, so full of heart that I had no choice but to give it a perfect score. And I was not the only one. All 5 judges on our panel agreed. We have never had a unanimous perfect score in the history of this competition." Lily felt dizzy. Was he talking about her? It could not be. It had to be someone else. In first place with a perfect score of 100 points from the Music Academy, Lily. For a moment, Lily did not move. She could not move. She stood frozen in place, her mind trying to process what she had just heard. Then Victoria was hugging her from behind, screaming with joy. The other performers around her were clapping. The audience was on their feet, cheering even louder than they had after her performance. "Go," Victoria laughed, pushing her forward. "Go get your medal." Lily walked toward Mister on shaky legs. The world seemed to move in slow motion. She saw her mother in the audience, crying and laughing at the same time. She saw Mrs. clapping with tears in her eyes. She saw Professor Williams, who had taken off his glasses to wipe his face. When she reached Mister, he knelt down so he was at her eye level. In his hand was a gold medal on a red ribbon. It gleamed under the stage lights. "Lily," he said, his voice soft so only she could hear, "I have been doing this for 40 years. I have heard the greatest pianists in the world, and I am telling you what you did today was something special, something I will never forget." He placed the medal around her neck. It was heavier than Lily expected. "Can I ask you something?" Mister said. Lily nodded. "When you were playing the Chopin, you were crying, but you did not stop. You did not lose focus. Most adults cannot do that. How did you keep playing?" Lily thought about the question. How could she explain? How could she put into words something that was so much bigger than words? "My father taught me that piece," she said finally. "He passed away when I was 4. When I play it, I can feel him with me. I was not crying because I was sad. I was crying because I was happy, happy to be close to him again." Mister's eyes glistened. He nodded slowly. "Your father must have been a wonderful teacher," he said. "He was," Lily agreed, "the best in the world." The ceremony continued with speeches and photos and more applause, but Lily barely noticed any of it. She was floating in a dream, holding her gold medal, surrounded by people who loved her. Afterwards, there was a reception in the lobby of the concert hall. Important people came to meet Lily: music directors, famous performers, journalists with cameras and microphones. Everyone wanted to talk to the little girl who had made history. But Lily just wanted to be with her mother. She found Maria standing by a window, looking at the city lights outside. She was holding the photo of her husband. "Mama," Lily said, walking up to her. Maria turned around. Her face was wet with tears, but she was smiling. "I am so proud of you," Maria said. So proud, and I know your father is too." Lily looked at the photo in her mother's hands. Her father smiled back at her, young and handsome, sitting at his piano. "Do you think he saw?" Lily asked. Maria nodded. "I think he saw everything. I think he has been watching you every day, every practice, every performance. He never left us, Lily. He is always with us." Lily hugged her mother tightly. They stood there together, holding each other, as the city lights sparkled outside the window. And somewhere just out of sight, just beyond the reach of human eyes, a proud father smiled down at his daughter, his little girl, his greatest student. His perfect composition. The news of Lily's perfect score spread like wildfire. Within days, her story was everywhere. Newspapers wrote about her. Television shows wanted to interview her. People from all around the world heard about the small girl who had shocked everyone with her piano playing. The story had everything people loved: a poor child who had lost her father, a mother who worked as a cleaning lady, a kind janitor who believed in her, a moment of triumph against all the odds. It was the kind of story that made people laugh and cry at the same time. Lily did not understand all the attention. She was just a little girl who loved playing piano. She did not think she was special. She was just doing what her father had taught her to do. But the world saw something special in her. They saw hope. They saw proof that dreams could come true no matter where you came from. They saw that talent did not care about money or status. It could bloom anywhere, even in a dusty storage room, even in the heart of a small girl with nothing but love and determination. 3 months after the competition, something incredible happened. Lily received an invitation that changed everything. It came in a fancy envelope with gold letters. Maria opened it with shaking hands and read it out loud. Dear Miss Lily, we are honored to invite you to perform at the International Music Festival in Vienna, Austria. This is the most prestigious music event in the world. Only the very best musicians from every country are invited. We believe your talent deserves to be heard on this global stage. Please let us know if you will accept this invitation. Maria stopped reading. She looked at her daughter with wide eyes. Vienna, she whispered. Lily, do you understand what this means? Vienna is the birthplace of classical music. The greatest composers lived there. The greatest musicians in the world dream of performing there. Lily took the letter and read it again. Her heart was racing. Vienna, the place her father had always dreamed of visiting, the place he had told her about when she was a little girl sitting on his lap. Papa wanted to play in Vienna, Lily said softly. He told me about it. He said it was the most beautiful place in the world for music. Maria nodded, tears in her eyes. He did. It was his dream. He never got to go. Lily looked at her mother. Then I will go for him, she said. I will play for both of us. The months that followed were a whirlwind of preparation. Professor Williams worked with Lily every day, helping her prepare a special program for the festival. She would play 5 pieces, 5 of her father's favorites, each one more beautiful than the last. Mrs. arranged for everything. She bought plane tickets for Lily and Maria. She found them a nice hotel to stay in. She even bought Lily a new dress for the performance, a white one with gold trim, elegant but simple. You deserve this, Mrs. told Lily. You have worked harder than any student I have ever known. It is time for the world to see what you can do. The day finally came. Lily and her mother flew across the ocean to Austria. It was Lily's first time on an airplane. She sat by the window and watched the clouds float by beneath them. She thought about her father, who had made this same journey in his dreams but never in real life. I am bringing you with me, Papa, she whispered to the clouds. We are going together. Vienna was more beautiful than Lily had imagined. The buildings were old and grand, with tall spires and golden domes. The streets were clean and lined with trees, and everywhere she looked there was music, in the concert halls, in the cafes, in the parks where musicians played for anyone who would listen. The International Music Festival was held in a concert hall that took Lily's breath away. It was called the Golden Hall, and it was the most famous concert venue in the world. The ceiling was painted with angels and clouds. The walls were decorated with gold carvings. The stage had a grand piano that gleamed like a jewel. On the night of the performance, the hall was packed with 5,000 people. They came from every country in the world. They were dressed in their finest clothes. They had paid enormous amounts of money to be there. Many of them were musicians themselves, famous pianists, violinists, and conductors who had come to see the best performers in the world. Lily waited backstage wearing her white dress. She was calm. She was ready. All the nervousness she used to feel was gone. In its place was a quiet confidence, the knowledge that her father was with her, that his music lived inside her, that nothing could stop her now. Maria hugged her daughter one last time before she went on stage. This is the moment, Maria said. This is what everything has been building toward. All those nights in the storage room, all those hours of practice, all those tears and struggles, it was all for this. She pressed the photo of Lily's father into her daughter's hand. Take this with you, Maria said. Let him be on stage with you tonight. Lily looked at the photo. Her father smiled back at her, forever young, forever proud. I love you, Papa, she said. Then she walked onto the stage. The audience fell silent as the small girl in the white dress appeared. Some of them knew her story. Others did not. but all of them could sense that something special was about to happen. Lily sat at the grand piano. She placed her father's photo on the music stand where she could see it. She took a deep breath. She closed her eyes. And she began to play. The music that poured out of that piano was unlike anything the audience had ever heard. It was not just notes and melodies. It was a story. The story of a father and his daughter. The story of love that could not be stopped by death. The story of a gift passed from one generation to the next. Lily played her father's favorite songs one after another. Each one was a memory. Each one was a prayer. Each one was a promise kept. The audience sat in complete stillness. No one moved. No one whispered. They were transported to another world, a world where music was the only language, where love was the only truth. When Lily finished her last piece, she did not immediately open her eyes. She sat still for a moment, her hands resting on the keys. She was saying goodbye. Goodbye to the performance. Goodbye to the moment, but not goodbye to her father, never goodbye to him. Then she opened her eyes and looked at the audience. 5,000 people rose to their feet as one. The applause was like thunder rolling through the mountains. It went on, wave after wave of sound and emotion. People were crying openly. Famous musicians had tears streaming down their faces. Even the critics, who were known for being cold and harsh, could not hide their emotion. Lily stood and bowed. She picked up her father's photo and held it against her heart. "We did it, Papa," she whispered. "We played in Vienna." And somewhere beyond the lights and the applause and the golden ceiling, a father's spirit soared with joy. His dream had come true, not through him, but through his daughter. His music would live on forever, carried by the small hands of a little girl with a big heart. After the performance, people asked Lily what her secret was. How could someone so young play with such mastery? How could she make grown adults cry with just a few notes? Lily's answer was always the same. "I do not have a secret," she would say. "I just play what I feel. I play for my father. I play for everyone who has ever loved someone and lost them. I play for anyone who has ever had a dream and was told they were not good enough. Music is for everyone. And when I play, I want everyone to feel less alone." It was a simple answer from a simple girl, but it touched people's hearts in a way that complicated words never could. Years later, when Lily had grown up and become one of the most famous pianists in the world, people would ask her about that night in Vienna. They would ask her about the moment that launched her career, and she would smile and tell them the same thing every time. "It was not about me," she would say. "It was about my father, about my mother, about every person who believed in me when I did not believe in myself, about Mr. the janitor who signed me up for that first showcase, about Mrs. who gave me a chance, about Professor Williams who taught me to be better, about Victoria who became my best friend." She would pause and look at something far away, something only she could see. "They say I shocked everyone with my piano playing, but the truth is, I was the one who was shocked. Shocked by how many people cared, shocked by how much love there was in the world, shocked by how a small girl from nowhere could end up standing on the biggest stages in the world." And then she would smile, the same smile her father had, captured forever in that old photograph. "Music gave me everything," she would say, "and I will spend the rest of my life giving it back." And she did.